Hey, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me today. On this week's episode, we're going to talk about the 3 principles that helped me achieve financial independence, and I'm sharing it so hopefully it can help you guys as well. I guess before we get started, we got to preface this as thinking of money as a game, right? Or let's think of it like a sport. Money is really a sport. There's offense, there's defense, and the goal is to win. And what does winning look like? It means living life on your own terms, letting you do whatever you want without being forced to do it. For example, if you don't necessarily like your 9 to 5 job, by achieving financial independence, if you choose to, you can leave your job and focus on higher value projects such as nonprofit work or even religious work or just giving back or spending more time with your friends and family or just doing whatever you want without being tied down. But let's say you absolutely love your job. That's great. That means you can continue working without the fear of getting laid off, or let's say something bad happens to the company. You're not constantly in fear of how am I going to support my family? How am I going to pay the bills? Because you know in the back you have a cushion, a financial cushion to let you do whatever you want to do. All right, so let's talk about this. Money is a sport, and the wealthy know that they are playing the game and they know the rules. I'm here to share the rules, so you guys are able to use it in your own lives. All right, so like with any sport, there's the defense and there's offense. So let's first talk about defense. The defensive side is extremely necessary at first. This is all about cutting costs on unnecessary expenses. For example, if you don't necessarily get enjoyment of going out to eat, you should be more intentional about not going out to eat. However, if you love going out to eat because it gives you a chance to meet up with old friends or date night, or that's the only time you and your significant other can get together, then absolutely don't cut it out. But figure out where you can cut out expenses and be intentional on where you can cut down on expenses. The 4 largest expense categories, which everyone has, are taxes, housing, transportation, and food. Out of those 4, if you're able to figure out where to cut down, you can have a significantly better quality of life because now you can spend on things which you actually value. Whether it's going on road trips or you like traveling places. By cutting down significantly on transportation costs or on housing, instead of spending $2,000 a month on an apartment, maybe get a roommate and spend $1,000. Yeah, you get to reduce your quality of life temporarily, but with that extra $1,000, you can spend it and do things that add more value to your life. So that's one of the major principles: cutting down on expenses that don't bring you value, but be intentional on what does bring you value and increase spending. For me personally, it's taking self-development courses or buying books on Audible and just learning, because I know that for every $10 or $15 I invest in a book, I'm literally getting thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in value in return. Of course, long-term, obviously it's not immediate. Here's $10, give me 100,000. It doesn't work like that. But the amount of knowledge I'm getting to learn, I'm getting a significantly high ROI on that. And that's what I love spending my money on. I also enjoy going on hikes, but the cool thing is, other than gas or transportation expense, it really doesn't cost money to go on hikes, but it's not necessarily about the free part of it. It's just the fact that I enjoy it and I'm getting a better quality of life by choosing that rather than doing something expensive, which I don't really enjoy just because society tells you that you should enjoy it, such as paying $2,000 to $3,000 a month in rent just to live by yourself, when in reality, I know pre-COVID, you were actually in the office for, 10 hours a day. And so you didn't even really get a chance to enjoy it. But of course, you got to figure out what you like yourself. So that is the defense side. It is absolutely crucial that you learn how to play defense well, because there's no way you can be successful financially without at least understanding the basics of defense. And once you understand defense, that's when it gets more fun, in my opinion. This is where the offense side comes. This is when you can actually start scoring points. This is when you start getting ahead and getting out of something called the rat race. All right, so the offense. This is required to win the game of money. And remember, winning is achieving financial independence, where you can live life on your own terms, do whatever you want to do because you have the money to do what you want to do. So an example of this is, you have your 9 to 5 job or you're already working. One way to play better offense is to get something called a side hustle, where you do extra work on the side, whether it's starting a business or freelance writing or teaching a course. Anything you want that you enjoy that doesn't take away from your main source of income. For me personally, I opened up 2 Airbnbs in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I live. I lived in one room and I rented out the other rooms, and the amount of income that I generated was more than enough to pay for the housing expense, which basically helped me with the defense part. And because a major part of my house was a business, I actually got a bunch of tax deductions as well, which lowered my other expense, which is taxes. Now with this extra income I was able to make, I was able to leave my employer so then I could focus on what I really want to do, which was running a hedge fund. Another principle that the offensive players know how to play well is using debt properly. Not all debt is bad. Yes, if you have a ton of credit card debt, paying 15% interest or 20% interest, it is pretty bad. However, if you're able to get a loan to, let's say, buy a rental property for 4%, now with that money, which is not even yours, you're able to generate, let's say, 10% return on your investment. You're making a 6% free income, basically free return, without using any of your own money. Yeah, you put in sweat equity, you have to learn the game, you have to do all that. But how many times do you really have to learn it for the first time? That's right, just once. You learn it for the first time, you get better and better at it until you build a system where you absolutely love debt. You will take on as much money as you can because you trust your system so much, where you can go and buy more real estate. For example, I'm just using this as an example because that's what I did, and it's a proven method to achieve financial independence. You could take this money, you can use this very low interest debt to buy real estate, get tenants in the house, rent it out, and using that, your properties may appreciate, may not, and that's for a different topic. And the cool thing about debt, which a lot of people misunderstand, is it's actually your friend during high inflation periods. For example, let's say I borrow $100 from you today and I promise to pay you back $100 next year. What happens? Well, that $100 is losing value every single day because of something called inflation. And so now when I pay you back the $100 next year, that money is actually worth a lot less than it is initially today. It was a loan to me, so I benefited, but you as a lender did not actually benefit as much. In fact, you lost purchasing power. And this is assuming a 0% loan, just for simplicity. As long as the interest rate is less than the inflation rate, you should be in a profitable scenario just by holding the loan. And this is not even including the actual return you can get by using that money to invest in something else. So just want to clear that up. It's very important to understand how to use debt to your advantage. And the third principle is, once you receive enough income from your offense, such as, let's say you buy real estate, you invest in stocks, you trade options, you start a business, whatever it is, the amount of money you're getting, take that, keep reinvesting back into your business, continue growing it as much as possible, because then eventually you can leave your 9 to 5, or you could leave your job which you're not as passionate about, focus purely on this business or something else, use that money to start paying for your daily living expenses. And then at that point, as your income continues growing and generating without your one-to-one input. Sure, let me back up on that. At your job, for every hour you work, you get paid 1 hour. But if you have a business, a profitable and scalable business, for every hour you work, you actually get maybe 10, maybe even 100 or 1000x return per each hour invested. Let's say you have a lawn mowing company. You can go mow someone else's lawn and you get paid, right? You mow per hour and let's say you get $20. But what happens if you can't go mow? You just don't get paid, right? However, if you structure it like a scalable business where you hire 5 different lawnmowers, you just have to spend maybe an hour or 2 a week managing them, let them do all the actual work, and then you get a portion of their pay without really doing that much work. Now, as you grow, you can actually hire someone to manage them. And that's how you're supposed to scale until eventually you can just be completely off and just hire your own CEO to manage the whole company for you. But basically at any point where you're generating enough revenue, you can take that and scale back on the defense side. As long as you don't scale back too much, you should be in a good spot. Basically, let's say you're making $10,000 a month, you can use that passive income. That's the most important part. It's not something that you actually work for, it's passive. You can take that to upgrade your quality of life. Maybe you want a better car, or you want a nicer apartment, or you want to buy a bigger house, you want to go on more luxury vacations. At that point, it is 100% okay and probably in your best interest to even do those, because if you run a business and you're able to do this, you may be eligible for some even tax deductions, because you're buying these luxury cars or going on luxury vacations and buying really nice houses in nice areas to meet and network with other high net worth individuals who may be an important asset to your business. So it's very important to consider the holistic picture, and just remember, you're not going to be successful at this money game if you don't know how to play defense well. You need to be able to cut down on your expenses as much as possible. Take all that extra savings, start investing it in the stock market, into real estate, into your own business, whatever it is, but make sure it's invested. Now, eventually this business or the stock market or real estate is going to produce enough income, if done properly, for you to take that money and funnel it back into your expenses, and then you could actually leave your job or your primary source of income And at that point, money will no longer be an issue for you or anyone you love for the rest of your lives, as long as you're able to keep it under wraps, as in you're able to play defense properly. Yes, you can take the foot off the gas pedal just slightly for the defense part, but if you do it too much, you're going to be in a really bad spot where your expenses are higher than your income. So you always want to make sure there's a large cushion between the expenses and the income. The goal, keep expenses as low as possible, increase income as much as possible, and then it's a spectrum on what you want to do with the money in between, whether it's to improve your lifestyle or continue growing your business or start a nonprofit, help other people, give back. The choice is yours, but the cool thing is that you actually have a choice compared to if you were just working and you only had one source of income where you really don't have a choice. You have to work or else you won't be able to pay your bills. So that's why this concept is so important, and really hope you guys were able to learn something from this. Please reach out if you guys have any questions. Thanks so much for watching, and hope you guys have a great day.